What is up with it? Yo, it is 6 a.m. right now, and I am never awake at this hour, but I am so freaking pumped about this new Nami leader. I just had to get out of bed and I had to make a video because this is crazy. Honestly, I cannot believe Bandai printed this card. Seriously, I can't even believe it. I guess I should read it, just in case any of you haven't Read it. I should have had this pulled up already. So it's a blue yellow Nami leader. I'm gonna pull it up on screen. Shout outs to Vampire Gaming. During your turn, once per turn, when a life leaves any pile, you may activate this effect. Draw one if you have 7 or fewer cards in your hand. So first of all, that's already a great start. 7 or fewer is crazy. I'm pretty sure every other leader is 5 or fewer, so I don't know what they were smoking with that. That seems, maybe a little overtuned. Also, it's anytime anything leaves a pile. So this can be you play Flampe and take your own life. This could be you play Hiyori and you take your life, and then you stack that card back. Boom, you still just upstart goblin yourself. Or it could be the classic I just played the game and swung at my opponent's life. That seems pretty reasonable to me. I don't know about you. 3 Dawn turn, swing 8 at your opponent. Hey, look, either you're going to take this and I'm going to get the free draw. So, in a way, it's almost like you played Sanji's Pilaf, but you also swung 8. Like, you only thinned your deck by 1 card, but like you went the same plus, right? Sanji's Pilaf goes +1, this goes +1. Um, or you give me two 2Ks on my 3 Dawn turn, which just obviously feels really awful for almost every deck that's ever been printed. Pretty much every deck. Literally, no deck is thrilled about countering that much that early. Um, then the second part is actually the bonkers part. Like, I just can't believe it, man. Honestly, I still kind of think that maybe this is mistranslated. When opponent attacks once per turn, you may trash 1 card from your hand. Give this leader plus 2,000 power for this turn. Brother, this could have been changed in like 8 different ways and it still would have been good. It still would have been good. All right, first of all, 2,000 for the turn is insane. 1,000 for the turn would have been good. 2,000 for a battle would have been acceptable. Also, just trash 1 card. Not restricted in any way. It doesn't have to be a straw hat. It doesn't have to be a trigger. Just any card. Just get those bricks out of your hand. Um, like, if you really think about it, at its full potential, which this will almost never happen, but at its full potential, this is pitching 1 card for 12,000 counter. If your opponent has 5 characters on board and their leader, and their plan is to swing with all 6, and again, this situation will actually just literally never come up, but it is the full potential of the card. Between those 6 swings, you now have to counter 2,000 less for all of them. So this 1 card off of this leader effect, 1 Dawn and 1 card, 12,000 counter basically. Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness. Maybe I'm overreacting, but this leader effect is actually just bonkers. Just genuinely bonkers. Literally, just every single part of the effect to me reads slightly overtuned. Like, why is it 7? Why is it any life pile? Why is it just leaves the life pile? Why is it 2,000? Why is it for the turn? Why can you trash anything? Like, they actually were just like, we don't really want any restrictions on this card, but it's a little too strong. What if we throw Dawn times 1 on there? Bro, this is actually like, I actually can't believe when you read every other leader that's ever been printed how often they have like huge costs or restrictions, and this is just like, slap a Dawn on there. Also, it's 7 cards, which, like, It is so unbelievably easy to have 7 cards. Yeah, anyways. So first, I'm going to try and show you guys a deck list that I saw in one of the Discords. Um, this list is actually awful, and I will say I think that this deck is maybe not that playable without new support. If you were, I mean, we're gonna get a lot of new support, obviously, in OP11. But the current card pool, I think, doesn't give a great direction for this deck. This Zeus, by the way, is a proxy for the new Zeus that's already confirmed for OP11. Um, but a bunch of these cards, we're going to be talking about all of them. If you wanted just a base list of how this might look, this is it. I think this list is genuinely awful. Like, one thing that makes no sense to me is it plays like 14 2Ks. Our leader is 7K. We don't need that many. I mean, maybe I'll be wrong. Maybe the leader will come out and the deck will just play like super defensive with infinite 2Ks. But I think that's pretty unlikely. So I just wanted to talk about all the different cards that could see play in the list. First off, this VV is a proxy because the sim doesn't have the new VV. If you're unfamiliar, the new VV is actually just Sanji's Pilaf on a body. Um, so I'm kind of gonna count this as like you can consider that new VV. It has to be a multicolored leader. That's how it is locked. So that way, mono blue Nami doesn't get to play it. But it just says 3 cost on play, 2,000 power, 1K counter, no trigger, just draw 2 cards. So it's just Sanji's Pilaf. I think both Sanji's Pilaf and that card could definitely end up seeing play in this deck potentially. The next one, this card is not good, but someone brought it up to my attention, so I thought, hey, I'd show it in the video. These are all cards that could maybe possibly see play in this deck, even if some of them I think absolutely will not. The next one is Nojiko. I actually think this card is very likely to see play. Like 2 Dawn to bounce a 5 is actually like really good efficiency. And there's just a lot of really good 5 drops in the game. So I think that this card absolutely will see play in this deck, is my current expectation. I could be wrong. It's not searchable via Straw Hats or anything, so maybe not. But I don't know. Card seems pretty good to me. It's a 1K counter, so it's not a brick, even though this deck doesn't have bricks. Bricks are fake. You just trash them from your hand for leader effect anyways. I'm so pumped about this leader. It's actually crazy. It's actually like, I don't know, man. I'm still freaking out. But this card, this was the very first card. As soon as I read the leader, I went to TCG Player and I bought some of these. Just because I do think the leader will be really strong. I'm expecting Bandai to give the leader some really good support in this set. So we'll see. The next one is Sanji. The thing is, there's not really good top end for Sanji to play at the moment in this deck. I'm like 99.9% sure that we will be getting a blue Straw Hat that's between 7 and 9 cost in OP11. Like, I would be super shocked if we didn't. Who knows what Straw Hat it will be. My guess is it will either be Nami or Luffy. Luffy would probably make the most sense, but it could be a blue Nami 9 cost. Who knows? And so I doubt that the new one will be Sanji specifically, but I guess that's also in play. In which case this card would not be able to play that. Also, literally, that is the most pure speculation because we don't know anything about the set, really. But I would be shocked if we didn't get a new big drop. Because currently, as we saw in that deck list that someone mocked up, there's not and as we'll see as we go through these options, there's not a whole lot of great top end for Nami to play. Because a lot of the things that Yellow normally really likes to play, like the 10-drop ace, 10 drop Big Mom. Obviously, that's locked to Big Mom Pirate, so we can't play it. But just 10 drops in general are off the table, in my opinion, because your leader effect requires one Dawn. So Sanji, I'm not super confident that she will end up playing Sanji, but I do think this deck very likely will end up struggling versus Black and Lucci. And Sanji, of course, can kind of help with that because putting, 18, 19 plus cost on the board at any given time can be difficult for a Lucci to deal with. The next card is Jozu. I also think that this card maybe isn't gonna see play, to be honest. I mean, this card is really, really good. And I've had some really good players disagree with me, just as we've been chatting this morning about this card. Um, but I'm just not sure I see the vision. Like, there's 6 costs are basically non existent in the game. So, really, 5 costs is the threshold that you want to be hitting. And I think there's just better cards, right? There's the Nojiko, there's this Nami. I don't have it on this list. It should be, but Gadatsu is another good one. Like, these are all things that can potentially get rid of 5 costs. So I'm just not sure that this card really makes sense, especially if you think about like the turns that you'd want to play it, right? So like we're probably not going to play it on our 6 Dawn turn, right? Because if we play it on our 6 Dawn turn, that means there's no damage being dealt to either players. So we're not drawing a card. Because if we just swing 5 with leader, they're just going to counter out every time, right? So no damage is being dealt. So we're not going to get a draw card. And then we're also not going to get to Dawn times 1, which means our leader's not a 7k. So really hard for me to imagine that it's ever good to play Jozu on 6 as this Nami deck. I think he's probably really good on 7. I think that's probably possible. And then any later in the game than that, for the most part, I think playing him will feel kind of awkward. Because we don't really have great top end right now, but I'm sure we'll get something. So later turns, you're going to probably want to be playing those rather than a Jozu. And also bouncing, 5 drops becomes less important the further you go in the game. So to me, I think the Jozu seems pretty clunky. I've had some good players disagree with me on this. But it's hard for me personally to imagine the Nami playing the Jozu at the moment. But I thought I'd mention it. 1 drop Nami. I think this literally entirely depends on if we get more good blue events. If they print some good new ones, I think maybe this card will be super playable. And if they don't print new good ones, then it probably won't see play. Because I don't think the events that are currently printed are good enough to run this card. But maybe. The next one is going to be this Law. This is just a worse version of Robin, but I had someone bring it up, so I thought I'd show it off. This will activate your leader effect to draw one, which is kind of cute. But I think generally it's just not going to be good enough. The next one is Flampe. I've had some crazy disagreements with some people about this card already. As you saw, the list that I showed before was playing this card, and I think this card is the craziest bait. There's already some buyouts going on TCG Player for this card, and I just don't see it. I just do not see it. I so strongly think that this card is bait. I would bet money that this deck will not play this card. Like, it sounds really cool in theory, right? That's why people are excited. You play it on 1, you draw 3. Draw 3 on your 1 Dawn turn sounds really awesome. I agree. However, you are a 4 life leader. Being a 3 life leader doesn't feel that great. Ask the RP Luffy's of the world if they wish they could have another life. I'm sure they do. So there's that problem. The second thing is, like, let's think about conceptually how the turns play out, okay? You play this on 1, okay? Now you have 7 cards in hand because you drew 3 and you used 1 card from your hand, okay? Now it's your 3 Dawn turn. Now you have 8 cards in your hand. You can't really proc your own leader effect now. Like, it's possible technically in some weird ways, but like you can like play a Hiyori and like look at your life and then put something on top of your life and then draw one there, but that's like super sus, super sus. And you could like play a 3 drop like Jewelry Bonnie, but then you're swinging 5 and your opponent is always going to counter because they're like, well, I'm not just going to give you the free draw this turn, right? Alternatively, if you don't play the Flampe, and let's say you play a Nami or you play another 1 cost searcher or whatever, or maybe you just pass on your 1 turn, who cares, right? If you don't do anything, you have 5 cards on your 1 don turn, you have 6 cards on your 3 don turn, you swing 8. Now they have to either counter or you get the free draw, right? So now you're up to 7 anyways. You still have the life. Like, I think this card is Omega bait. Genuinely, I think this card is Omega bait. Um, but hey, clip this if, you know, a few months down the road the set releases and someone does really well in an event playing this card. I don't know. Katakuri, this is one of the better top end options that exist for yellow, period. So this could definitely end up seeing play in Nami. I mean, removal is really strong. We all know this. If you play a big dude and your big dude says, hey, you don't get to have a big dude, it's normally pretty strong. I don't think we have to talk about this too much. Capone Beige, this is obviously like one of the best yellow triggers in the deck. It's a 2k counter. The other thing is this is now searchable. There is a new beige searcher that searches Straw Hats or Beige himself. So this is a searchable 2k. Also a really good trigger. Also, there's ways to put this in your life, right? There's Hiyori. There's this Queen Mama Chanter that we'll talk about in a moment. Very possible that this could see play in the deck list. Hard to say for sure, but I could see it. Yamato, this is another one of those just generically good top end. I could definitely see this being played. I could see a world where on your 10 don turn you go Sanji into Yamato, you pop a thing, you establish 2 bodies, you're a 7k leader. I could see that as a strong turn. We'll have to see. I think conceptually the deck has so many good control options that are currently printed. But being a 7k leader for life, I feel like unless we get a lot more like heal options or whatever, I feel like you probably don't want the game to go forever. So I'm not sure if like starving with Yamato is really the way that we're gonna want it to go, but who knows. Onami, this is searchable, great trigger. On play is probably not going to be that relevant. I don't think the deck will play it, but maybe. Hiyori, again, 2k counter. Maybe we'll see play because maybe there's like some weird shenanigans that can be used with it, but I think probably will not see play in the deck. We'll see. Egghead Luffy, this card is broken just generically. Could see play in the deck, absolutely possible. Bonnie, she's kind of weird because playing her on curve is like a little weird because then you're not getting the draw on that turn. But it does sound really cool to have her on the board and you deal damage to your opponent and you draw 3 and you discard 1. Like, that sounds pretty sick. So if possible, I think this would be a phenomenal card to have on board. However, with the amount of removal and the fact that she's kind of weird to play on curve in this deck specifically, maybe it just doesn't happen. Maybe you just don't play her. I think you probably don't, to be honest, but it would be really cool if you could. I love drawing cards. Anyone who knows anything about me knows I love drawing cards. Nami, I think this deck almost for sure will play this card. This card is just really generically strong removal. I would be pretty shocked if the deck doesn't end up playing this card. Also notable that the list that I showed previously didn't play this card. LOL. Nico Robin, I think this card has a really good chance of being played. For sure. I think the fact that this card says, hey, burn your opponent, draw a card, sounds really good. The trigger is so weird, champ. The trigger is like, I feel like trigger is on this card just so that it has a trigger. Like, the trigger is actually so fake. Um, but I think this card very likely could see play in this deck. Kid, kind of the same theory as the Robin, but I think is maybe a bit worse. Um, just because he takes so much Dawn, but definitely could see play. Definitely could see these. The Linlin, kind of similar to these two. Um, I think your opponent is probably almost always going to heal you, but that's not the worst thing in the world. You're playing yellow. If you're playing a lot of triggers, like definitely not the end of the world, and you'd have this big 7/8 body. I could see a world where it plays. This is the new Zeus card, and this is just a proxy for the new one in OP11. It's not on the sim. Um, that card is bonkers. For sure, the deck will play 4 of it. I just can't even believe that Bandai printed that card. Like, actually, some of the most blatant power creep I've seen in my entire life. Read Thunderbolt, then read that card. Like, it's actually just insane. I could talk about that card alone for 10 minutes, so we're just going to move on. This is going to be a stand-in for all the little babies, the Sabo, the Ace, the Luffy. I don't see the vision personally. I feel like that would end up being super clunky, but I've seen people bring it up like, hey, you could be a 9K leader essentially. That would be really cool. I agree that would be really cool. That said, I don't see the vision personally. This Linlin, kind of a similar concept to these cards. I could see a world where maybe this sees play. Um, Definitely could happen. This is a pretty decent card. I wish it didn't have to trash a card from your own hand, but um, you have more draw power in this Nami deck anyways, so maybe. And then we have a bunch of different events. So that's all the characters. I'm sure there's maybe some stuff that I've missed. If there is anything that you feel strongly in the current card pool that should strongly be considered that I haven't brought up yet, I would love to hear down below. Also, we know there's going to be a new Queen style blocker that's going to be a 5 cost 6,000 power Nami that we're pretty sure is going to be a draw 2 trash one. I'm sure that card will probably be played in the deck list, would be my guess. Those cards just are generically pretty good, right? Gum Gum Rain, Surgible 2K, um, Pseudo 2K, whatever you want to call it. Probably won't be played in the deck, especially because your leader effect makes it so that having these 0 cost event style cards, I excuse me. Having these 0 cost style cards is just less important, I think. So I would be surprised if this makes the deck list, but worth mentioning. 3,000 Worlds. This is a Straw Hat card. Bottom decking to 5 is obviously pretty strong. This could see play. I don't think it's impossible, but also don't think it's the most likely. Red Rock, I think this probably will see play if I had to bet money. I think you probably don't want to play something like Rygo, and yellow doesn't have any other like generic good ways to remove problems other than Rygo, so I imagine Red Rock will probably be a card that the deck plays in some number, especially if Blackbeard is still a threat, especially if Anel is running around with that new 10-drop Anel, like you don't want them getting a free heal for free every turn. I think this could definitely see play, especially as a Straw Hat card. This card probably will not see play, but I wanted to mention it because I think it could potentially be really cute. So you get to boost your leader by 1,000, so now you're an 8K leader. Ignorant as all heck. And then imagine you stacked your deck somehow to put a Nojiko on the top of your deck, and you went, play this, you're an AK leader, and you just bounced a 5 on your opponent's turn. Like, oh, sickening. Sickening stuff. Sickening stuff. Won't see play. You'll never pull that off, but I thought it was cute. Gravity Blade, we all know what Gravity Blade does. One of the craziest triggers in the game. Um, really, I think the format will decide if this card is in the list more than almost anything else. You're the one who should disappear. I kind of think maybe this doesn't make sense in this Nami deck, which I think is one of the other contentious opinions that I have. Like, I think the first one is the Flampe, where I think a lot of people in this exact moment feel like Flampe is going to be really good. I think a lot of people also feel like this is going to be really good. I'm a lot less convinced. First of all, I think the trigger is like a pipe dream. I think that's almost never happening. And then I also think having a zero cost event style card is probably just less important in this deck, um, because you're trashing your bricks anyways, right? Um, so I feel a lot less strongly about this one than Flampe. Like Flampe, I'm like, I just don't see how you could ever end up playing this card. You're the one who should disappear. I do think it is possible that it will be played in the deck, but I don't think it's the auto include the way it is in a lot of other yellow decks. I'm super willing to be wrong about that. Queen Mama Chanter. This could be really cute. It could be really cute. You can rest this stage. You may add one card from the top or bottom of your life area to your hand. Place up to one of your characters with a cost of 3 on top of the owner's life face up. So this is pretty cute. You get to, first of all, activate your leader effect to draw one every single turn by doing this. And then also you can stack, your Capone Bages of the world, your Jewelry Bonnies of the world, right? So, this is cute. I think it's probably unlikely, but it's not the craziest thing in the world, right? The trigger's pretty good. Like, that trigger on a stage is always just going to be really ignorant. So, I don't know. I've been yapping about this deck for 30 minutes. That's insane. That I'm so hyped. I could go, and the thing is, before I started recording this, I was yapping about it on Discord for like over an hour. So, I'm pumped, man. Oh man, it's crazy. I'm not even a Nami fan or nothing like that. Just the effect is crazy to me. I think right now with the current card pool, it's probably not a real deck, but I'm sure that will change. Thank you all so much for watching. I hope you have a great rest of your day.